Hey guys, welcome to another production meeting. It's been like 2 years.
Merry
We're
Christmas.
back. Merry
We got
Christmas.
blipped.
It's a whole
Happy
nother year now.
birthday.
It's been a
We
year.
did. Yeah, some of us were sick, some of us had vacations. Things happen. So we're back. It's a new
Some of
year.
us had both.
Oh, yay. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Um,
Alex was the one who almost got sick because of me. So
Sort
Oh,
of, yeah.
Alex.
I was
Oh,
kind of
Alex.
sick.
Kind of sick.
I definitely got sick.
well, you deserve it.
I did.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You have everything coming to you, sir.
If watching all these movies this past last year didn't kill me, I was surprised that this Rona did. So
Yeah, right?
Oh
Wow.
man.
So we're gonna skip over what we've been watching because I'm sure it is a laundry list of stuff. Because yes, right?
Can I have two?
Yes.
I will skip over everything released in 2021 and just do the two new ones.
okay.
Okay. Because they're only the only two movies I've seen in 2022 so far. But if I don't talk about them this week, I will forget about them next week.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I saw the 355 last week.
Sorry.
I don't know if anybody else saw the 355. You don't need to. So yeah, it's very bad. I don't really have anything more to say about it. It's just every spy movie ever made, but still stuck in the 90s. Somehow it's even more outdated than the movies made in the 90s because it's trying to be updated, and then it has like, oh, we're gonna have a strong female lead who spends the whole movie just kind of upset about like a boyfriend or something. Not good.
The closest to a review I have is my dad went to see it, and he was like, I quote him saying, "That was all right. I'm not rushing to watch it again, but it's all right." So,
Is
there's
it better or worse than Red Notice?
It's this one got a theatrical release, so by definition of the fact that it's made like $4.5 million, I guess it's technically worse than Red Notice, and it is it's less enjoyable than Red Notice. Like I hated
Wow.
Red Notice, but at least Red Notice made the time pass for as much as I hated the time that was passing. And this, I was like, oh, you know what? This isn't badly paced, and I was like, oh, I've got like 45 minutes left. This is a movie that like thinks it's clever. I can't believe I don't want to spoil this movie, but I don't want to spoil things. But it's like, oh, let's cast an A-list celebrity and kill him off 5 minutes in. And I'm like, well, he's the villain. And then like 30 minutes later, they're like, I'm like, yeah, why else? It's not a good movie. But I've kind of completely forgotten about that because I saw Belle last night. And I don't know who else saw Belle last night.
And
This film
I don't know where Matt is on my screen or y'all's screen. He's
Yeah,
right there for me.
Yeah. Gosh, just go see it.
Yeah, I feel like Clint would appreciate it. It has not Studio Ghibli vibes per se. It's in that neighborhood.
Yeah, it's got like the universal appeal of a Ghibli film. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I thought it was just incredible. I went in with like moderate to high expectations, and I feel bad, Alex. I probably set the bar a little high for your expectations. I was just blown away by all this film was able to accomplish while still being a light and entertaining watch with an emotional gut punch, and it has so many different themes, and it's so socially conscious of the story it's telling, and it does the world building so well, and it has a bunch of characters, and it does all of this. It's stunning to look at. Like, it blends 2D and 3D animation, and the 3D animation for the Otherworld looks so good and so well rendered that I thought it was just a really textured 2D animation. And it's the best I've ever enjoyed 3D animation. Like, I look back on whatever the heck came out last year, Earwig and the Witch, and I just hate that film even more now for not looking as good as this. And it's not a fair comparison, but I've never seen 3D animation look this good or put to this use. And it's got like story elements that kind of references, Beauty and the Beast, but it doesn't do it as a crutch. I love that. I might just go see it again instead of seeing Scream.
Well, you say that. So I don't know what your theater it offers, but we're doing both subbed and dubbed. And Matt and I were talking about it. He goes, and I said, I'll take this bullet. So we watched it in English, and I said I'd be willing to watch it again in Japanese to see if it's still effective, or if like the emotional parts, especially when they sing songs, still hits as well. So I am right there with you.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask, because we saw it in Japanese, and I was like, I felt the strong performances from the cast, and I don't know the lead. I looked her up. This is like the first thing she's done, and
Right.
she like carries this character and this emotional performance. I won't go on and on about it. It's an easy 9 out of 10 for me, and I don't like opening the year with. I mean, I was ready for like a month full of the 3.55, and my second movie's a 9 out of 10.
I to segue us into something else. I'd say an 8. Somewhere, depending on what so next week you watch it in English, I'll watch in Japanese, and we'll swap notes.
Deal.
So 8 for me, and then I don't know if Ryan has any more, but that's all I'll say on that.
I will say this. I want to piggyback on this because I was not a huge fan of this film, and I'm willing to bet, Ryan, when you see it, if you do watch it again and you watch it in dubbed, I'm gonna think you're gonna have a completely different experience than you did when you watched it in its original dialogue.
Should I not watch it dubbed then?
I'm just saying I have a feeling because they've changed. I haven't seen the Japanese version or the original version, but I honestly think all the songs were in English, everything was in English, and I have a feeling you're gonna be like, ugh, this is bad.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see like the original. I think it plays off probably better. I just wasn't a fan of the plot in general, but that's just me. It wasn't a bad movie. I just wasn't amazed.
Clean, go see it.
But I will watch it. I will watch the OG version just to make sure.
I might wait until I buy it and then watch it dubbed, so that I can go see it subbed again.
I think that's probably your smart move, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's a smart move.
I was just amazed at how much this film was able to pull off. I just wrote this, so I feel like I'm stealing from myself. But like, if you pitched me everything that happens in this movie, I would say you need 2 hours 45 minutes to do it all effectively. And this film does it in 2 hours.
Well, see, you say that, and I think it needed to be longer.
I wouldn't have minded it being longer. That was the one thing, is like I was enjoying it so much. I was like, I could do more of this movie, but I get it. Like it's PG, its target audience might not sit through more than 2 hours of that movie. You know,
Probably not. All right.
But that's all I got. Other than every movie that came out in 2021. Also, 8-Bit Christmas is better than Christmas Story. I'm not gonna argue it. I just have to say it. I don't like Christmas Story, so there's my standard.
Well, there you go.
I'm gonna like say reasons why that's inaccurate, but I also don't want to spoil either movie.
I mean, it's just like an update. It's like an update of the same story, but set for like 80s instead of 50s. Whatever.
Yeah, late 40s, early 50s. Yeah.
Movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, so we're moving on. A little bit of news. Alex's favorite Uncharted poster was released. All I'm gonna say is it looks like every single poster ever really made, ever. Sorry, Alex.
I don't know what you're talking about. I think this poster looks amazing. The new trailer looks just great. I love like ships that are hanging from planes. It looks so cool, so much like the game.
I just like to think that Ryan entered 2022 as a resolution just to be infinitely positive with every movie that's about to come out.
No, I'm just trying to drive Alex nuts.
Nah, this movie's already doing it on its own, man. It doesn't need any assist. No, I was the one who shared it, and I was like, it's all right, it's fine, it's generic. So that ties into what Clint's saying. It's like everything else that's ever come out. Like, and I don't know if it's going to be unique. So I'm like, I actually prefer the teaser poster over this one. Yeah, I don't know. But only time will tell. We've only got, I don't know, a little over a month before it's released. So yay.
When is it released? Wasn't it beginning?
22nd?
February 18th, I thought.
Or is that the 18th? Yeah.
So,
It's in February.
Yeah. Cool. So some MCU rumors. First of all, Alex shared that Tom Hanks, I guess, is supposedly joining the MCU. All I'm going to say is I hope that he's a villain. I think that would be kind of an interesting take. I don't want him to be like Mr. Fantastic or something random like that. That's just weird. I don't know. What are you guys think?
I just want him to join as Tom Hanks.
There you go.
I don't know. I mean, I would love to see him as a villain, but I don't think he likes playing villains, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he's kind of a villain in The Circle, and that's like the closest I can think of him being a villain.
Right.
I feel like he's going to show up in one scene, like as Tom Hanks or somebody, like when Matt Damon the MCU.
Oh yeah.
I think he would play the equivalent of I don't know the character's name, like somewhat similar to like Harry Potter, that in Ollivanders, the guy who actually gives him the wand. And I think he'd be more or less something like that, like not a huge character, but somebody who is pivotal in somebody getting some type of critical piece of equipment or something that is signature to them. So he's minor character in my opinion.
I would also like to say that this is the first time in the year 2022 that someone has mentioned the film The Circle.
I think this is the first time since 2016 that anybody.
We love you, Tom Hanks. That's why we jab.
Yeah.
Oh man, but I don't know. It's all who the heck knows, and it's almost borderline. Why do we need this? Like everybody, Tom Hanks is America's father. So, like, it's cool, but like, what?
Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
That's
Don't
actually
tempt
not
Sony
bad.
with that.
That's actually not bad. It probably is a good casting choice. I'd be interested in that.
Next MCU rumor is Ben Affleck coming back as Daredevil. No, don't do this. I understand that the movie wasn't that bad. But no, I think in my opinion, I think No Way Home and the multiverse, it works because everybody likes those characters. Those Spider-Man were good, but stop it. Like when you get to like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and you start like just like popping random characters, like Eric Bana's Bruce Banner. Like, no, stop it.
No, we don't need that. We don't need that.
You don't want to see Eric Bana and what's his face? Oh, why am I forgetting his name?
Edward Norton?
Yeah, together, teaming up.
No, I don't need that.
You're lost, man.
Am
Bring
I
back
wrong?
Lou Ferrigno's still alive, right?
Yeah, man. He's kicking butt somewhere.
I probably just killed him. Sorry, Lou.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt.
But isn't he a security guard at that university that they were at?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So no, we don't need that. So stop it. Next up, Turning Red, I guess the new Pixar movie that is supposed to come out like in March or April, is going to Disney Plus. If I was Pixar, I'd be pissed. This is the third or fourth one in a row that they've dropped into Disney Plus without giving it its due in the theaters. It's kind of sad.
Well, somebody and I were talking about it last week, 2 weeks before. I think that Disney's Plus service is being seen as a not a failure, but kind of like a semi-failure because it's actually bringing down their stock apparently, and they're obviously what's the remedy for that? Put more content out there that's exclusive to that, so you can only watch it there, and thus raising views, stock, all of that to tie in with it. So I'm like, I think and because of that, Disney, it just seems like they were really, really quick to pull that trigger. Like as soon as now everybody can say, oh, it's because Omicron's being very crazy right now, everybody's getting it, and they really want everybody to be safe. And I'm like, I really don't think that's the case. Like, I'm sure that has a little bit to play into it, but I don't think that's the key factor. I think they were just leaning on something to be that, like, all right, this is our excuse. Like, here's Omicron. Oh man, awesome. Thanks, guys. We need to put that out and put it on Disney Plus right now. Oh, man, so glad we got that excuse that we needed. So I'm disappointed. I'm like you. I'm like, if I'm Pixar, I'm beyond livid. I don't know if they do a contract or what, however that business works, but I would be very, very considering like yanking that deal, like very much.
Yeah, I can understand elements of this choice because I mean a year ago Onward was not successful, and it's not anybody's fault. They had to pull it after 2 years ago. Goodness gracious.
Right.
I totally forgot 2021 happened.
Yeah.
But 2 years ago, like Onward was not successful, and I think ideally they're trying to get ahead of that. I wish they weren't taking this out on Pixar. Even and the other idea is that if they're trying to have some streaming content originals, some perks for going to Disney Plus, I get that too. Again, I wish they weren't picking on Pixar. They have original content that is nowhere near as theatrical worthy of a theatrical release as the stuff they're putting. I mean, even like Luca, which was not necessarily a top-notch Pixar project, was better than Cruella, which got a theatrical release. Plus that on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
less original content anyway. I mean, it's the stuff that's kind of that streaming service is made for, and instead we're getting like really quality films shoved onto Disney Plus.
Right.
I think what we're also probably not really thinking about is maybe they are making a lot of money off of these. I mean, it's not like something that they just want to take it out of theaters and throw it on their streaming service. There's obviously a reason. It's probably cheaper, and they're probably it's driving subscriptions.
I can see that too. It feels like a weird timing after a partly Disney shared movie becomes one of the 5 highest grossing movies of all time, and they're like, oh, shelve our next project.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Or maybe they've watched the movie and have gone, ooh.
That also could be the case, because like with Luca specifically, I can see why that's more of a Disney Plus. And if this weren't, I think if Soul had not been put on Disney Plus, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation quite the same way.
Right.
So I guess we'll find out. Maybe
Are they?
Might be right.
Is this going to be did they say if this was going to be a premiere title for Disney Plus?
Nope. Dropping right on.
Oh yeah. Plus. Yeah.
Well, maybe they're just going to make Disney Plus the exclusive home of Pixar movies.
Maybe.
That would be lame, but okay.
Oh yeah. So we're going to end on some sad news. We had 2 tragic deaths very recently. Mr. Bob Saget passed away a couple days ago, and Miss Betty White, which I thought was going to live forever, to be honest with you. But rip, both of them. So we're going to go into our top 10 worst, however many, because I only got 6 of my worst. So literally these ones were like the ones I was like, ugh, and the rest were just whatever. I got some TV stuff. I don't know if you guys got some TV stuff, but we're going to start with our worst of 2021. And you guys can like jump in opinions and everything else throughout all this. So I'll start off with Space Jam. It's my number 1. That was horrid. Just gonna put that out there. It was horrible.
There's no build up. You're just like, my number 1 worst film of the year is Space Jam.
Yeah, Space Jam. Didn't need it. Sorry, LeBron. 2 is Venom. That was horrible. I'm going to preference my next one by just saying that this is just because of maybe expectations and disappointment that they didn't meet expectations. But The Matrix Resurrections, I don't know what was going on in this movie. I don't know why they tried to do some of this stuff. It was just kind of like a retread, and it had so much to do with it.
I would say that with Matrix Resurrections, I understood the theming that they were trying to get across. I just think it was done a little poorly. So
Right.
I agree. Even I was defending it, and I've subsequently brought it from a 6 to a 5. It's just kind of gotten buried in the back of my mind.
Yeah. I just like, if you didn't really want to do it, like if they didn't really want to do it, then don't. Like, have them make it with somebody else and have it watch it epically fail by itself. But whatever.
I think also that the sad thing is I think the film was also hurt by the cast that did not return. Like, I feel like if they were to get the whole gang back together, I think it would have hit a little better. But not having Hugo and not having Lawrence in the film, I think didn't make it that great.
Just replacing them with somebody else just didn't feel right. Yeah. Halloween Kills is number 4. That was atrocious. The Tomorrow War. That was so bad. And last but not least, The Woman in the Window.
Oh God, forgot that. I didn't even finish that.
I'm gonna come up with the same list, but backwards in a minute.
No, honestly, I totally forgot that movie because I just wanted to, and it's like I have a top 10, and then like honorable mentions / dishonorable mentions, and I didn't put any mentions for worse ones. That one's gonna be in there. Just a spoiler alert for that.
Yeah, it was a Hitchcockian, non-Hitchcockian movie, so it was bad.
That didn't need to exist.
Nope, not at all. Sorry, Amy. But that's my worst. So you guys want to go through you guys' worst?
I can talk through mine real quick.
Go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna go backwards because I'm not gonna alter I've got a full top 10 with some honorable mentions, but I'll be quick about it. So my honorable mentions, and I won't say anything about them. I'll just list them off. Going from best to worst, I have Jungle Cruise, Eternals, Peter Rabbit 2, the Runaway. I didn't know the subtitle of that. Voyagers and Infinite, which snuck on there like right at the last minute. Thank you, Matt. Not that it was worth talking about. I was like, this would be great to put on. Nope, I don't care. So my number 10 was Venom, Let There Be Carnage. I totally agree with you. This film was a mess. Maybe if they weren't trying to crush this into a 90-minute runtime, it would have at least been enjoyable. But for me, it was just kind of everything I hate in superhero movies. My number 9, I kind of curved Netflix originals, and I even gave them their own list. But number 1 on my Netflix originals and number 9 on this was Woman in the Window. So much worse than like your Red Notice and your Sweet Girl and all this stuff. It was just, the production nightmare aside, it would have been a bad movie. And then they had reshoots and the production problems, and it was just awful. Number 8, F9, The Fast Saga. This is a movie that 10 movies later still thinks that you can catch people with cars, and it's softer than them hitting the ground. And it's just 2.5 hours. And I would have just forgotten about it if I didn't have to sit in the theater for, trailers included, more than 2.5 hours of nothing.
Also time out. If anybody wants a fun time, go search out our video where we talk about F9 for
yes,
about an hour.
Yes.
That was the only reason it wasn't higher, is because of how much enjoyment I got thinking back to this. I will say I do definitely curve these on how much I enjoy these, and F9 is almost so bad it's good. There's so many hilarious moments in this movie where I was like trying not to laugh out loud in the theater. If it weren't so long. Number 7, and only not lower because my expectations were so low for this film, Home Sweet Home Alone was just as bad as everyone has said it is, if not worse. The biggest identity crisis I've ever seen in a movie this year, anyway. Just nothing. Number 6, Prisoners of Ghostland with Nicolas Cage. I put this on here because Nicolas Cage had one of the best performances of the year and one of the worst. And this was obviously his worst. It's definitely a return to form for modern Nicolas Cage movies. It's just nothing. My number 5 is a critical darling called Annette on Amazon Prime. I've seen this on best of the year lists. It is a 2.5-hour musical by the Sparks Brothers. And as quality as this film is, it's exactly why you shouldn't try to make a 2.5-hour music video into a feature film. It was one of the most tedious viewing experiences I had, where I just wanted it to end every second after a fun opening sequence. I don't recommend it unless you just unless you drink tea like this. Number 4 is Tomorrow War, dumb. Number 3, Chaos Walking, another post-production mess. They said that the original cut of that film was not releasable. I don't think this cut of the film was releasable. So I'm not sure how this was a step in the right direction. That's one of those things too. You know, you have concepts that are challenging to adapt, and some movies do it well. I don't think this works. And I hate saying that because I'm sure the material is probably fine, but I don't think this works. Number 2, Space Jam: A New Legacy. The only reason it wasn't number 1 is because I don't think it deserves to be top spot, because it's just trying to be an HBO Max commercial. It's not even trying to be a movie. It's just nothing. I don't even remember the end of it because it put me to sleep, and I have no qualms about putting it on here, even though I didn't catch Bugs Bunny's death. Apparently that's in the movie. I don't care. And number 1 was Halloween Kills. Made me walk out of the theater and finish it the next morning. Just insulting to its audience. Nothing happens. Evil dies tonight, except we're going to get one more of these stupid things next year. So I can't wait to have Halloween back on this list next year. It's welcome. Hey, I'm ready for it.
The good thing is they've set the bar so low.
That's true.
It's going to have to, like, just imagine how bad it's going to have to be worse.
You're absolutely right. And in preparation for this film, I watched the Rob Zombie reboot of this film, and it is so much better than Halloween Kills.
Wow.
But see, this is what's ironic about this film is like the 2018 set it so high and was like, yes, Michael Myers. And then like Halloween Kills came out and you're like, no, Michael Myers.
I think we got a little too high while we were writing the script, guys. Just a little too high.
If the third film does not stick the landing, I will absolutely give anybody else my Blu-ray of the 2016 film.
Fair enough.
Man. All right, Matt, you said
stick the landing. You mean pull up from a free fall?
Yes, and I don't like
bail out with a parachute.
The worst part is if it's bad, I can get rid of
or
Halloween.
Apologize.
If it's good, that means I have to own 1 and 3 of the new series.
They'll just start the third movie like the second one didn't happen at all.
Yeah, he walks out of the house and it's just it. I like that pitch. We should pitch the next Star Wars trilogy like that.
There we go.
Yeah, right. Matt, did you say you did not have a top worst?
I don't have an official top 10 list. I didn't have anything written down. I have been concurring pretty much with everything that you two guys have said already. So I was going to listen to what you said, Alex, and if there was anything else that I think you guys forgot, I was going to throw that out there.
It's like my list is inverted. All the things you guys hate, I love, and vice versa.
Be like, somebody mute him right now.
Yeah, Alex, we know you, though. We've been talking about all the same movies for a year.
Yeah, right. Yeah. What are you guys talking about? Halloween Kills is number 1. Anyway,
lost Alex.
I know, right? Disconnected. Oh my gosh, poor signal. No, okay. So I was talking with Matt before I start. Well, in the middle of doing my list, and he stopped. I was going to be unique in my number 1, but because it didn't technically come out last year, I can't put it on there. But so it's in my dishonorable mentions with an asterisk of a 2020 release, not 2021, of The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
I'm gonna go get it and put it.
No. I'm getting diarrhea just at the.
This is the greatest movie of 2020, Alex. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my God, you guys are so wrong. To anybody ever watching this, oh my gosh, I've never wanted to reach through this screen more and just.
It's so hilarious.
No. Oh my gosh. Anyway, that was just a throwaway title because it technically shouldn't even be on this list. Okay.
It's a wolf suit.
Yeah, right. So I had no other dishonorable mentions other than, and I literally just put it in while we were recording this, Woman in the Window, because I forgot it existed. So therefore it doesn't deserve to be on this list because I don't remember it enough. All right. So I technically have a top 11. I'm going to make it 10A and 10B to start it off. I guess 10B being the most tolerable movie is Godzilla versus King Kong. What an absolute like let down that movie was. I really enjoyed the one before. I know Ryan and I have talked about this before. King of the Monsters, depending on who you are, is not good or absolutely great if you're me. And This story was dumb. It made no sense. It was just and ironically, that was kind of what kickstarted the reopening of a lot of theaters, including us.
I will agree with you. Whether or not you liked any of these films, it feels like each one in this series has been a complete overcompensation for the last one in this series. And this feels like it's trying to go the opposite direction of King of the Monsters, which was the opposite direction of 2014 Godzilla. And I'm like, just consistency.
Pick a direction and go with it.
Yeah. If Zack Snyder can do it, you can do it.
Yeah. I'll agree with you there. That's very, very astute. So 10A is Mortal Kombat, which also ironically really was early on in this year. Oh my gosh, another, and what's ironic about that movie is I didn't watch the first, I don't know what they released, the first 10 minutes, 20 minutes, the opening scene of what's his face back in the day. And, and that's actually the best part of that movie. And it takes that and then takes a giant dump on it by making an absolutely crappy story. They kill off certain characters that doesn't make any sense at all.
Agreed.
And it's just, oh my gosh. And the CGI in that is so bad. Like, I don't know the Mortal Kombat characters at all, really. There's like the green, like multi-armed guy.
Goro.
Yeah.
I don't know how I know that. I don't play Mortal Kombat.
Well, he is done up so bad. It's so bad CGI. I mean, it just sticks in my brain that's bad even for 90s standards. Like that in that regard, it's even worse than the ones that came out in the 90s.
I agree.
Matt, I don't know if you know, but you're muted.
Oh, I was gonna say that's why in the 90s version they did an actual prosthetic version of him.
Yeah, right. And that one doesn't look great, but it's so much better now.
Yeah. So that's the 10s. Number 9. I didn't. This is why it's on 9 and not lower down. I didn't hate this movie, but it's not good at all. Is Voyagers? It really isn't what it advertises it to be, and it's just kind of weird. And it's what is it? It's like Lord of the Flies, but in space.
It's just Lord of the Flies in space.
Okay, I think I've heard that before. Probably you were the one who said it. Yeah, it's weird. I like I never remember the guy's name. The main dude in Ready Player One, is the main character in this too.
Sheridan.
Yeah. He's pretty good, but I mean, he can only carry the movie so far. Everybody else that is not him is so disinteresting, and it's just bland. That it's just like you probably shouldn't watch this. I don't regret watching this, but I cannot recommend this movie ever to anybody. So, and then the next one is kind of a guilty pleasure, actually. Number 8 is Malignant. I know we all like enjoyed that movie of how absolutely atrociously dumb it is, and the fact that apparently a conjoined twin gives you superpowers. So ironically, I'm putting this on my top 10 because it is not a good movie. It is so stupid and so, oh my gosh, so ridiculous.
That's true.
But it could be a lot worse because like if it took all that silliness out, it would just be an absolutely dumb, stupid movie. Like, and that be it. Yeah, whereas now it's a completely dumb, stupid movie, but there's kind of some fun to have in there somewhere.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, there was a point in time where that was like one of the worst movies of the year for me, and Halloween Kills swept in and saved that movie from my worst list.
Yes.
I bumped Malignant up to like a 4. To see what bad horror is now.
Yeah, I forget what I rated that. I think I rated it a 4 as well. I think we were just 4s all around because like it was combined with Halloween Kills, like absolutely lifting that from the depths of despair. It's not completely god awful on its own still, and I know it's in my top worst, but still, I mean, even worse films can be. This is definitely one of those that is so bad it's good sometimes depending on how you're looking at it. So that was number 8 for me. Number 7 is Eternals. What a stupid movie. What an
now on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Pivotal, a huge, apparently pivotal, but I can actually see how they just kind of write this out because it got just such glowing reviews. It was supposed to be a pivotal stake in the next part of the MCU, and the plot was messy. It was all over the place. And I'm all about diversity and everything. Great, that's fine, but don't make it in what is it? A sacrifice to an actual like organic and like decent plot. You're just a lot of this didn't make sense. It was dumb. It was thrown in just for the sake of having diversity and being different. That it just like, sorry, man, the movie stinks. Like, oh my gosh, this, just dumb. Next one is Let There Be Carnage, Venom 2. Yeah, this movie, so stupid. Does not need to exist. The only saving grace about it is that it only is 90 minutes long, because you can only endure so much of this. It's so stupid. I watched the first Venom for the first time only like a week before I watched this. Now, maybe not even a week. And I didn't hate that. Like, it's not a good movie, but I didn't hate it. Like, if I found it for, $3 to $5 somewhere on Blu-ray, sure, fine, I'll own it, whatever. But I'm not running to go do that, and I'm certainly not running to go do that with this. This was so dumb. The villain, Woody Harrelson, fine actor, does absolutely nothing to help this role. Cletus Cassidy, it's dumb. It's so dumb. It doesn't even matter. But now that, spoiler alert for Spider-Man people, it ties in with it. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It ties in with it. So now it's important, and I hate it even more for that. So one of the aspects of this one that made the first one look even better, first one being Venom, is Venom actually sounded menacing and like gritty and just like kind of scary in the first one. This one, he's stupid and dumb, like, hey, Eddie, I'm Venom, let's go get some chicken. Da, da, da. I'm like, this is so stupid. This is so stupid. So that's my number. Gosh, that's only 6 on here. Number 5 is here's one from your list, Ryan. F9. Stupid movie. Doesn't need to exist. So dumb. We're throwing cars in space. The only reason
they go to space.
They're throwing cars in space because that is, and they fling themselves on it's probably over almost probably 3,000 pound car by hanging onto a wood
like
bridge rope.
Like,
yeah, because that totally makes sense, but it's absolutely ridiculous. And ironically, that's the first one of these I've ever watched. So for me, there's kind of nowhere to go but up.
Nope.
No, I know nobody's talked about this one. Ryan, you're gonna be like, oh. Number 4 on my list is Cop Shop. I knew you were gonna say that. I called it. I thought this movie was stupid. Really, just it did nothing for me. Gerard Butler is fine, but similar to Woody Harrelson and Venom I just mentioned, he does, in my opinion, he does nothing for the role. Like, it's cool to have him on there, fine, but I don't think anything of it. Like, this movie is for the most part forgettable. And I kept texting Ryan in the middle of it. I was like, okay, this is about a 5, this is a 5, this is 5. Okay, maybe it's gonna end on a 6. Nope, now it's a 4 because it's dumb. I'm sorry. I know you don't think that.
No, well, I agree with you. I mean, like, if you're not into it, the ending I feel like the ending is a step down from however you're enjoying it. So if you're not enjoying it, the ending is a bigger step down than if you are enjoying it, where it's just a small step down. And I really enjoyed this movie, and the ending was still a step down. So I understand how that kind of leaves a bitter taste in your mouth, especially if you don't enjoy it. It's kind of like the worst way to end that movie for you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's actually pretty accurate. I would agree. Just a dumb movie. And I'm surprised nobody has put this on their list. Or at least I didn't hear it. Number 3 for me is Old.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was surprised Matt didn't say old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm coming in hot right now because I was gonna be like, if I was gonna add any movie, that's probably legitimately the worst film I saw last year, by far.
I completely forgot that movie even existed.
See,
Yeah.
I think the problem for me is
It's
I couldn't choose between old and Snake Eyes.
so
Don't pick neither.
And here's my reasoning, and the fact, the bad thing about old is actually the twist isn't the worst part in the film. It's just the way the characters are written and how they react the entire movie that legitimately makes no sense, and it's the most ridiculous thing. After all, when it's all said and done, the twist actually makes the most sense. But everyone and how they acted is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. So
right. I agree. But at the same time, I think that the twist felt really generic, almost like, oh man, it was some guys in a lab somewhere. Whoa. What?
Yeah, well, I mean, they didn't overcomplicate it. Sometimes keeping it like the most simple.
I guess.
That's why Signs is one of my favorite ones, because it's more like, oh, they're aliens? Yep, they're aliens. Good.
Yeah,
this one's like
I'll agree with you there. I actually fairly enjoy it because of that simplicity. Yeah, so I'll agree with you there. I don't think it works here. I remember two like completely screwed up moments and I like, ooh. But I'll whatever. I've talked about them before. Number two. Now my top two are on everybody's list. Space Jam is my number two. Absolutely atrocious. It's like Brian said. It's really just one giant commercial for HBO Max, and it's shameless marketing, and they don't even care. They know that what they're doing, and honestly, is there even any basketball in there? It's like video game basketball, like where the rules change, the dimensions are all over the place. Don Cheadle is got a corny, stupid villain name, a pun name of Algae Rhythm. What is it?
You realize how long it took for them to come up with that? Respect it. Algae Rhythm.
I think if there was one performance in 2021 who obviously did not want to be there, it was Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
I just like how one of the biggest problems Alex has with the movie is it's Space Jam. Why aren't they actually playing real basketball? What is this video game stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I know that they're trying to modernize it and everything because everything's about like technology and video games and everything like that. But I'm just like, bro, this. And I kind of thought the inclusion of like all those NBA players like Anthony Davis and not Kawhi Leonard, Damian Lillard. Gosh, all that was cringy. So cringy. I'm like, get away from me. That movie does not. I'm so glad I have it on my list of theatrical movies I've seen, but that's a technical one because we had it, but I didn't actually watch it there. I just watched it at home because time permitted that way. But yeah, that movie sucked. Then unsurprisingly, number one was Halloween Kills. This movie should apologize for existing. So dumb. Evil dies tonight like 13,000 times. I remember thinking all the people in the hospital are like, hey, that's Michael. Absolutely confusing, like a guy who's only like 3 feet tall waddles. They can't catch him even though he waddles. And I'm like, this is the dumbest thing ever. And apparently Michael Myers is like immortal. So, the more you stab him, the stronger he gets. And yeah, this is dumb. He's apparently like a demigod or something like that. I'm like,
yeah, talk about another ending that's just a significant step down from the rest of the film. And that's not a high step. It's a low step to another low step.
But he just wants to stare at himself in the reflection of his window.
Right. And
that's all he wants to do.
I think I put it number one because
Narcissist.
Yeah. If you compare it to 2000, was it 16 or 18? 18. Yeah, I mean, obviously that is a way step down. But then if you do Space Jam, I remember watching the original Space Jam again right before I watched this one. Just, I mean, nostalgia. Even nostalgia, honestly, doesn't carry that film. I don't remember that being quite as like bland. Like, I mean, I still give it like a 5. The new Legacy one, I give like a 2 at best. This movie's stupid. Whereas this one, I think it takes such a huge step down that it like is magnified even more, and it's in closer, like, because the original Space Jam came out what, in 96, and then so that's
Something like that.
almost somewhere around 20 years or so, 25 years, 25 years difference, whereas Halloween is like only 3. So when this movie this year did not have a ton of bad ones, but like when they were bad, they were bad. A lot of the films this year for me were like very just like just meh.
Yeah, I agree with that. This was I had a lot of trouble putting together my list.
I did too. That's why I barely had a top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I took out all the Netflix originals except for one. It's like just so many movies that I just don't feel like talking about.
Right.
All right. So now are we doing a top 10? Like the best
Matt,
ones?
did you have anything else?
No. I was sitting here contemplating whether or not I should rank you guys' worst list from best to worst list.
Yes.
So
different, obviously.
So in this case, number 3 would be the most tolerable worst list.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna have to go with Ryan on that one. It was the most tolerable. Then Clint. And then you had some questionable choices on yours, Alex. So that's why I'm going to put yours at number 1. That's the worst.
I'm the worst list. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's complimentary to me, or if it means like if what you're saying is my choices are bad.
If we rank our worst list, Matt, you didn't make one, so you're number 1 on my worst list.
I know. I'm the greatest.
Or worse.
Actually,
I don't know.
Like I think Ryan and Clint are like 1A and 1B anyway, because their lists were literally the same.
Yeah.
All right, let's go top 10 for the year. I'm gonna go from 10 to 1 this time. So mine would be Luca. Luca was pretty good. I love Pixar movies, and yes, very good. Shang-Chi, In the Heights, Quiet Place 2, The Suicide Squad, No Time to Die, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Spider-Man, Dune, and then Last Night in Soho. I love me some Edgar Wright.
Can you elaborate on your opinions of the Suicide Squad a little bit? Because I feel like that's the one that the 3 of us won't have.
The Suicide Squad? I think it was the most like comic book movie of the year. I don't know. I just when James Gunn is on point, I think like he makes some really great films, and I think this one was like, like I said, it's kind of like it's the most comic book movie of the year. Like it just, all the great, like, as much as I don't like John Cena, he plays that character really well, and it's just like, I'm gonna talk about it later, but it's just like Peacemaker. I watched the first like episode of Peacemaker that came on HBO Max yesterday, and it's fun. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's just weird, and like he's just like obnoxious, but in like a good way. I don't know. It's a good show, and I just like the Suicide Squad. I just think that it was pretty good. So it snuck on there. That was my top 10.
Oh, that was really quick, actually.
Clint's like, this movie, this movie, this movie, this movie, this movie, this movie.
Well,
okay.
I mean, like, Spider-Man was great. I mean, I know that we didn't get together to talk about Spider-Man, and we probably can talk about it a little bit. I think we can just put spoilers in it, because if you haven't seen, like, it's like the number 5 movie of all time now, and if you haven't seen it, you've been living under a rock for like the past 3 weeks. I like the inclusion of all 3 Spider-Man. I thought that they did it really well, instead of just being like, hey, remember this guy, and then he's gone. and then like remember this guy, and then he's gone. And I think like all the stuff with Doctor Strange is really well done. And the ending, I think, needed to happen with Aunt May's death, because you don't have an Uncle Ben. So I think they should probably explore why he became Spider-Man to begin with if he doesn't have an Uncle Ben. And that was just kind of like a seal of death as soon as she said that. So, and I thought Willem Dafoe was excellent as Green Goblin. I think he did better than he did in the first Spider-Man movie. Because I think with this one, you kind of like he doesn't really have what's the word I'm looking for? Motivations, but just to be like the Joker-esque of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where he just wants to see chaos reign. I thought the only tag that I had of Spider-Man, to be honest with you, is that I don't like how they just like sent them back. Like they cured them and then they sent them back. I think that they could have had like you could have brought these characters in and just left them there. And I think that was a huge missed opportunity to try and like use these characters inside the MCU without having to now to find like these random ass like villains that Spider-Man has to now go up against. You could have kept these villains here in like the background and then like brought them in either later or whatever. But that was my only knock to it. So go ahead.
We can talk more about that later. Ryan, do you want to go next, or you want me to go next?
You want me to go next? Because my list is going to have like none of the movies that you guys have on your list.
Go for it,
man. You and I have traded notes, and I can concur with that. Yeah.
I'll go for it because I can't seem to keep out of your discussions anyway, Alex. So I'm sure I'll get to talk. All right. I have top 10. My 10 was really difficult. I had more trouble than usual with this 10 because there were so many great movies that I just could not pick between. So many like different movies, and I know like my number 10 and 11, Alex, I'm right with you. I'm like 10A, 10B, and so my list isn't necessarily gospel the way it is. Some of these like I watched one of these and I bumped it up like 4 spots because I was just really emotional that day. It doesn't deserve, but so just my list is a grain of salt way of how I like movies. So my honorable mentions, I have Power of the Dog. This film really grew on me since I watched it. It's one of the 2 runners up for Best Picture. I kind of hope it wins. It's definitely a nice, meticulous drama. Quiet Place Part 2, almost as good as the first. Really great pacing and consistently entertaining. I love that these films continue to feel so small and contained instead of trying to be big Tomorrow War style blockbusters. A holdover from 2020 that got released in 2021, Minari, would have been on my best list last year if it had come out, but really moving drama. Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings, a really solid Marvel entry. If this weren't so strictly stuck to a Marvel formula, would have been on my top 10 list. But one of the best villains of the year. I don't feel like talking about those lists, but that was my number 1 villain of the year. And Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch was just charming. It was a heartbeat away from my number 10. It's just a little too out of control as far as his style goes, but really, really solid foreign anthology film. So my number 10, a film that grew on me like no other movie this year. When I watched it first, I didn't even like it that much. The Green Knight. I thought about no other film like The Green Knight this year. The visual style, the score, the performances, the weird fable of storytelling, the way it unfolds with just, it feels like you're kind of exploring a visual trip of a fantasy story. And it's done in such a different, slow burn way. And it's not necessarily a film everyone will enjoy, but it's a really unique approach to that. And I actually I didn't have Last Duel on my list because Green Knight does fantasy. Not that Last Duel is fantasy, but you've got your 2 nice big castles and swords epics, and Green Knight was just so much more unique. So my number 9 is Apple TV Plus's Coda, a film about the only hearing child of a deaf family. who wants to follow a career in music, but then has to choose between supporting her family and following her dreams. This film really hit me. I highly recommend it. It is a moving comedy drama. It's not necessarily that funny, and it's not trying to make you cry. It's just kind of an in the middle, really enjoyable film. It's got great themes. I don't even saying deaf representation doesn't do it justice because most of its cast is deaf, and that's not trying to be representation. It's a film that anybody can empathize with different parts of, regardless. Really great film. I would have probably had it higher on the list if I had watched it sooner. It came out in July, and I watched it like in December. Holdover from 2019 premiere, and then didn't get released in 2020, and then got released in spring of 2021 is Saint Maud. This one was higher on my list until I watched it a second time, and not that it was worse the second time, but going into it a second time, knowing where the story goes, definitely takes some of the punch out of it. But this is a great movie. It's Rose Glass's direction is fantastic. It's got perfect performances. It's less than 90 minutes, but it tells such a potent character story in there, and it uses themes of religion and mental health in such a unique way. Matt, you and I talked about this. The last split second of the movie is what makes and breaks this for me.
Yeah.
You get it?
I can't help every time. I knew where it was going, and it happened, and I chuckled, and I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
Damn it. I know that's not what they were going for, but I'm just so like, I have a dark sense of humor, and it was just funny to me. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It definitely, it's definitely worth watching. Definitely great. And it came out in a year where no horror films really stood out. Quiet Place Part 2 was good, and Saint Maud was great. And that was kind of it. I'm
just going to admit like a guilty pleasure here, and it's really kind of funny. I'll admit that when like that split second, I heard Matt laughing in my head. I was like, this is what he would find funny. Sure enough.
It's just, I don't know. It was just, it didn't, I don't know. For some reason, there was just some comedic timing there, which I think was not done on purpose. I mean, kind of done on purpose because you're supposed to be like, oh, but it was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, if there was ever a time to drag out a shot for more than 1 second, that was it. And they wanted to end on kind of a, and instead it's like a, okay.
Like, all right.
But other than that, I think the movie's flawless. Other than that last second. Number 7, I don't think it would have been on my list if I hadn't watched it a second time. But Netflix's The Mitchells vs. the Machines was just one of the most fun films I've watched last year. The first time I watched it, I was sick the whole night, so I kept having to pause it, get up, and throw up. And I was like, I should probably give this a second chance. And I'm so glad I did. I love Lord and Miller and the team that did Spider-Verse. It looks incredible. It doesn't necessarily resonate with me as much as it would have if I were younger or more inclined for this kind of hyper editing style. But it didn't necessarily take away from it either. I think it's just charming, really funny, pretty heartfelt, and probably one of the best screenplays of the year, honestly. So this is when the list starts to get pretty solid for me. And number 6 was Spencer. Kristen Stewart, best performance of 2021. I can't think of a single performance that comes close to the perfect blend of actor and character in a film that just centers around a character than this movie. And if you don't like necessarily performance-centric movies, I don't think it's necessarily for you, but it's such a unique movie, and the direction and the cinematography and the production design and the editing and the score by Johnny Greenwood, which is only second to his score from Power of the Dog. It's such a period piece, but never trying to be lavish or big or tell complex stories like The Crown does. It's just a character in a movie, and you can really get in the character's mindset, and that's just such an incredible way that you don't really get a lot of anymore. And I just was such a sucker for it, and I can't wait to watch it again. My number 5, which was way lower on my list until the second time I watched it, is Encanto. I liked it the first time, and the second time I was just like bawling my eyes out. I don't know why I was in such a vulnerable state for this movie, but I was, and it just hit me so hard the second time. And it is a flawed movie. I think there's some problems with its pacing. I think there's some problems with the story, but it's telling a really bold story in a bold way. It takes kind of its B character growth and makes it its story, and doesn't, it opts out a villain and just kind of tells a thematic story about family and this character growth, and having a protagonist that's less special than all the other characters feels very contrasted with other Disney properties. And I really enjoyed how different this felt for Disney project. I loved the music. The score was one of the best Disney scores I think I've ever heard, and it looked stunning. And I would be more positive about it if I probably hadn't just watched Belle and would have put it higher on my animated list. But this is definitely, it's got good reviews and not great reviews, and I'm not really sure why. I think this was such a bold movie, and I enjoyed it even more the second time. So my number 4 was Pig. Alex, courtesy of Alex here. This little drama with Nicolas Cage stuck with me so much this year, and I knew it was going to be in my top 5. It's just a quiet drama, and that's not necessarily a hard sell, is it? But it might be Nicolas Cage's best performance. I know he won an Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas, but this is so opposite of how any movie treats him as an actor. And I love the subtle nuances of the character and the way it's such a heartfelt movie in the end. And it ends up being this emotional drama about this guy who lost his passion for this thing, trying to get his truffle pig back. And it's just an impactful little quiet movie, and I expected nothing from it going into it. So I highly recommend it if you haven't seen Pig. Number 3 is my last holdover from 2020, The Father. Fantastic drama done best, and this is based on a stage play, and I think this is the perfect way to adapt things into film. And you take a media where you have editing and production design and costume design on the camera, where you can allow changes that aren't behind the scenes, and you do it in a way where you're presenting dementia in a way where you're confusing the audience on purpose, and changing locations with a cut, and looping scenes and changing actors. And it's wonderfully disorienting. It's impossible to decipher because there's no real answer to it, and it is just one of the most heavy-hitting dramas I think I've ever seen. Anthony Hopkins' Oscar-winning performance and the Oscar-winning screenplay carry this film. It is even if it's just a one-time watch, it is definitely unique, and I highly recommend it. And it would have been number 2 if I hadn't enjoyed Last Night in Soho so much. It's not perfect. It's got some world-building problems, and Edgar Wright's foray into horror isn't necessarily scary, but it is thrilling. And between the thrilling story and the twisty narrative and the strong performances, and I'm just a sucker for 60s production design and music. One of the best. I mean, I didn't count an album compilation as one of the best soundtracks of the year, but I've listened to this more than most of the other things this year that's come out. Just a complete blast. One of the most enjoyable experiences I had in the theater. And I actually went back to watch this again faster than my number 1, which I went back to watch 3 times, and then once on HBO Max, which is Dune. I am a sucker for big budget, high concept sci-fi. They don't come around too often. And when they do, there's a bookcase that takes you to the past or something confusing like that. And Dune is just perfect for me. Hans Zimmer's score is so incredible. It makes the visuals come to life, and the visuals are nearly perfect. The cinematography is fantastic. Denis Villeneuve's direction. I could probably talk about this film for an hour. In fact, I think during our Dune review, I probably talked about it quite a lot, so I will cut it short. And it manages, the thing I liked about this the most was it really knows how to treat its audience. And knowing the story or not, I really appreciate the way this delivers information and important concepts to the audience without just either throwing them at them as fast as possible or spoon feeding the audience. And people who are paying attention, it's dense. It's dense material, but it's done at arguably its best, where if you're paying attention, all you have to do is follow the story, and it will catch you up. And trusting that trust you have to have with the movie, you start to lose that after a while. Some movies kind of spoon feed you and tell you everything you need to know, and it's fine. And some movies just completely keep you lost, like Annette, for no reason, where the daughter's a puppet, literally, and you don't know why. And this was just the perfect blend of quality meets quantity for me this year, and I enjoyed it like no other. And going to see a 2.5-hour movie 3 times in theaters for me is a good time commitment. So, yeah, Dune #1 of the year.
And now Ryan can't wait for the next one. Dune Kills.
I can't wait for the next one. Don't you dare. I was telling Rachel before Belle, I was like, can we just skip to 2023? And she was like, you just want to see Dune. And I was like, yeah, I do.
You're like, I will gladly trade the time. Matt, did you have one on a list if you wanted to go?
You can go ahead, man.
Matt's
okay.
So for this.
So I said that a lot of this year was a lot of meh. But I have another top 10 with a 10A and 10B. But then I have a lot of honorable mentions as well, too. So I'm gonna just try to steamroll through those. So my honorable mentions are first Shang-Chi. Really solid film. It's like Ryan said, if it didn't have like MCU formula to follow, it would be so significantly better, and it ties in with like Chinese lore and everything, and the MCU is almost like holding it back. So it could have been a lot better. I think the middle third of that movie, it doesn't help that I watched that movie like at midnight, having been up for several hours that day before anyway. So it kind of, I was nodding off a little in that middle act. But despite that, it was still a solid film. Raya and the Last Dragon. I don't remember any of us talking about this. I know Matt doesn't hate this movie, but it's like, it's really dumb. I remember really enjoying this. It was charismatic. It was fun. The story was pretty well paced. I just remember
Alex,
having a fun time. Yeah.
Would you consider yourself a dragon nerd?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because I have two Chinese two movies with the dragon heavily involved. So far, yeah. One Night in Miami. I remember we watched that like at the beginning of this last year. And I remember that opened the year like really, really well on Amazon Prime. The performances in that like knock it out of the park. Absolutely. Just fun. Like, I mean, and honestly, it's literally for the most part just a conversation between these four significant celebrity / historical figures. So really well done. And Regina King did. Now, I mean, like I said, it's just a simple conversation, but for the most part, you still have to keep that engaging, and the direction for that was pretty well done. And I give her props for that.
Alex, would you say Regina King's direction in One Night in Miami makes up for her accent work in The Harder They Fall?
Yes. Oh yeah. Totally. Absolutely. That I don't even have to think about that. This one I wanted to maybe put in my top 10, but I was like, it has Justice League, the Snyder Cut. Like, I remember we all like really, really enjoyed that, but because it's a 4-hour movie, it's like it puts everything out there, so it kind of cheats. And obviously it's not the first of its kind. So I just wanted to put it in an honorable mention, meaning that like I actually enjoyed it, but because of that 4-hour length time, that's doesn't qualify. This one that got really bad marketing, I think, was Reminiscence. I thought that was a fairly interesting story, and I make fun of Hugh Jackman all you want. Maybe he overacts, maybe he doesn't, I don't know, but I think he does a really good job in this movie. It's a little bit weird. They don't explain how this world gets into the state that it's in, but by the end, I'm really like, I'm so glued to what's happening. Like, I want to know where this character's going and why. Like, it's kind of noir-ish, and and I actually dig it for that. So I really didn't think that it got the attention it deserved. Encanto, I know I can't put this in my top 10 because I just enjoyed it, but didn't like think it was stunning. It has killer songs in it. Like, it's very like the Bruno song is like all over TikTok, but I remember like listening to that and being like, man, this is it's pretty catchy. I like this. And then it's like it has back to back like just absolutely like catchy tunes. So but still good, not great. Ryan, you mentioned The Last Duel. I enjoyed that a lot. It's a very, very good story and awesome performances. I mean, I don't want to go too far into that movie, but it's a solid film. I can't put it in my top 10 though. And then the My Hero Academia third movie is like, I can't say that it was great, but you know, it was a fun time. It was a little darker than I was expecting. So yeah, that was it was a good film. If Clint, because you're catching up on all that, I would recommend it to you, and it'll be out on Blu-ray, and I'll have it so you can borrow it. All right, so now to get to the actual top 10 list. So 10B, nobody. This was kind of a dumb fun film. Was Nobody. It's the dumb version of John Wick, you know, and it makes sense because it's either by the same director or the same producer. I can't remember. So it's just fun. It's just kind of fun. It's just, if you need something a little bit mindless to watch and, you know, you just want some action, so this is up there. I remember enjoying it and just being like, this is silly, but you know, there's fun to be had. 10A is Quiet Place Part 2. I agreed. I think it was still a step down from the first one. But it's still, whatever you liked about the first one, I think carries over. There's a lot of, I remember saying there's so much attention to detail, because like I remember a certain scene where like this happened to this happened, and then this like very complicated scene was just like, wow, they actually really thought about this, and I just love that attention to detail. I know I'm showing my anime a little bit here. I liked Mugen Train for the most part. And this is technically not supposed to be on here because it's really just a amalgamation of their season 2, if you will. It's literally called the Mugen Train arc. The story is fine. The animation for Demon Slayer just is absolutely out of this world.
Yeah,
it's so good. I'm like, how can you not like this? I mean, by that standard alone. I think what really made the movie was the last, I don't know, about half hour of it. So emotional, and that animation just comes out, you know, even stronger than before. And it's just absolutely just a stunning movie. Number 8 for me. This is another one that did not get a lot of marketing, which is such a shame. I watched National Champions, which is it's the football movie about the college players who are trying to fight in order to get compensation for college players, because you know all this blah blah blah. And it's really well thought out. It feels like these are real. Like, I don't know a lot of the conversations that go on in like bargaining agreements, arbitrations, all that kind of stuff. I don't understand the technical side of it, but this like movie makes you take a glimpse into those negotiations without like being absolutely just like bogged down in details that just make it drag down. Like, it was actually a fairly well done movie, and I'm just ashamed that it just didn't get the attention that it deserves, in my opinion. Number 7 is and I'm the only one here that really enjoyed Black Widow. I like that a lot. I thought the story was paced well. I like the action. I understand the bugaboos about it, but you know, I still had a good time with it. What else? Okay, now I know I go from that to French Dispatch. I agree with Ryan. A lot of character in that. Such a charming little movie. It's like a bunch of little mini stories put together, and I really liked it a lot. It was so quirky, as Wes Anderson films are, as I've been told are, and this is no exception. In fact, I've been told that this is one of the most Wes Anderson films,
to a fault.
To a fault. And it's just charming. It's just fun. I almost sat there and I was like, I want to give this an 8. I almost feel bad giving it an 8. I feel like it shouldn't, but I enjoyed it that much. So I really liked it. So that's going to lead me into watching all these other Wes Andersons, that one of which Ryan has given me Royal Tenenbaums. So I'm going to dive into those soon. Next one. I know everybody's going to be like, and I know I'm wearing the gear, but Spider-Man is my number 5. Clint, I agree that it's really well done in a lot of ways, but the more and more I think about some of the story, I try not to think about it too much, because then I get bogged down on, well, if you do this, it kind of doesn't make sense here, and like, I personally think, again, it's a good story, but like, if you take away the aspect of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield out of it, it's kind of like, what story would there be? It almost feels like Tom Holland's had 2.5 Spider-Man movies, where this one kind of leans on kind of the crutches of the old ones. And I'm not saying it's bad for it. I'm just saying it's like, I don't know. It should be taken with kind of an asterisk, in my opinion, but it's still a fairly well put together movie. I liked it for the most part, but it doesn't come without its little nitpicky parts. Gosh, I have a lot of not well marketed movies on here, because Stillwater. I don't know if anybody else did see this. Such a good movie, so well acted. Matt Damon. It's a great story. I think one of the things about this movie was there are certain movies that when you know this person is in it, and you're paying attention to their character more than you are paying attention to like that person. Like, you can keep thinking, oh, this is just Matt Damon, this is Matt Damon, this is Matt Damon. Like, I kept forgetting that it was him, because I'm invested in the character so much. The thing, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember the very, very end of this movie. I was like, left a bitter taste in my mouth. But overall, it was a very good put together movie. So I highly recommend any of that to anybody.
Alex, I will say I did watch Stillwater, and I think you're right. I think even with the expectations of you saying it was great, marketing killed this for me.
Yeah,
because it's just not the story it's advertised, and going into it is just so jarring. And I feel like it took me an hour into this 2 hour and 20-minute movie to get over the fact that it was a different story than kind of was advertised.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agreed. Yeah, it wasn't done well, and it didn't get the attention it deserves, similar to National Champions. All right, so my top 3, and Matt, you'll appreciate this. My number 3 is Ghostbusters. Such a charming film. It calls back to the originals in just the right way. I know we've talked about it where we've said playing that score or in a similar way, it's like a cheat code, because it's kind of relying on nostalgia a bit, and I get that it's a little nitpick, it's a little cheaty, but it's still a charming movie with fun new characters. Podcast alone is like awesome. He's like the Captain Boone from Raya of this. Such a good little film. I can't wait to own it. It's gonna be out here in a couple of weeks. So good. And then it calls back to the old Ghostbusters, and they're like some good times in that. I was a little surprised at how much I liked it. My number 2, and Ryan's gonna be like, your list is already bad because it's not number 1, is Dune.
Wolf of Snow Hollow. Oh.
No, it's Dune. Dune is a masterpiece of just visual cinematography. It's characters are portrayed very well. The costumes are done really well. It takes what was the runtime for this?
225.
For the most part, I think it makes it feel like, I'd say, around an hour and a half. I mean, it breezes by. The pacing's done very well, and I'm not going to say it's totally engaging the entire time, because there's a couple slow moments, but for the most part, it makes a pretty good sized book into a intriguing and engaging film. And the score, like, Ryan is like the poster child for like given reviews for scores. Even I was like blown away by how just encapsulating it is. It's just so well done. But my number 1, though, and I'm surprised that nobody even put it on their list at all, was No Time to Die.
Clint.
I just absolutely. Did you, Clint? Oh, I didn't hear you. Okay. Because
mine was.
Where was it? Number.
It was number 5.
I was gonna say number 5. I thought I remembered hearing it somewhere in there, but I actually I was like, but anyway, the opening sequence of that movie was just so good. It just was like, I'm already hooked into this movie, and you do that, and it's just such a great. And what is it? Billie Eilish she won the Golden Globe for, I think, what, best original
song.
Yeah.
Title song.
Oh, it's so good and so fitting. It just feels emotional and eerie at the same time. The story is, the pacing on this is just so good, and the story is like, it's a typical Bond film, but just there's a lot of unprecedented moments, and I couldn't get over how much I was really liking this movie. And speaking of scores, it takes like typical James Bond themes, but it manipulates it in a way that keeps that in there, but still makes it like not James Bond and still engaging. And I thought it was very, very well done. And even that only, I got a 9 out of 10. I don't think I gave it perfect 10 out of 10 to anything this year. But that was, gosh, such a good film. I know I'm in a little bit limited company here, but oh man, such a good movie. 9 out of 10. And that was my top 10 or top everything this year.
Such good list so far, gentlemen. Such a good list.
Thank you.
That was like the judgiest way you could have said that.
Right?
You suck. Everything you say sucks.
What a bunch of god-awful films. What are we talking about? Just kidding. My list is more of an amalgamation of like the best films of the year and my favorite films of the year, which I think is probably all of our lists combined. But I just wanted to say that as a full disclosure. This list also takes into account the fact that I haven't seen these 3 films, which would probably have a surprisingly good chance of being on my list had I watched them. But I haven't seen Coda or French Dispatch or Spencer. So throwing that out there. Honorable mentions for my list. Ghostbusters Afterlife. And you're like, oh my God, Matt doesn't have that on his top 10. That's crazy. Well, the whole cheat code thing is probably why that's not on there. But it's still a fun movie, and I enjoy it. Luca, honorable mention. That was a fun film. Soho, honorable mention. I do have my issues with that film, which is why it's not on my list. And Pig, honorable mention, because that film should not have been that entertaining, but it's not entertaining enough to be on my list. Also, weird thing is, I know you made fun of Regina King earlier, but The Harder They Fall was a really fun movie, and not fun enough to be on my top 10 list, but fun enough to be like, hey, it's a fun Western. Go check it out.
I'll say I watched that again before I made my list, and I almost put it in my honorable mentions.
Yeah, so I enjoy those. Now to the creme de la creme. Matt's the top 10 of this year. And I think I'm going to be different than you guys, because you guys were all like 10B and 10A or whatever. I'm going to save mine till the end. So number 10 on my list, and a lot of these titles, I'm going to say I have probably made fun of them a lot. So here's just me being like, I'm sorry, you actually are a fun movie. Number 10 on my list is Malignant. And we made fun of this movie all year, but this movie is on my set of like essential like October movies now. It is such an homage like to Italian horror films. It's great. I've never gotten, well, I've gotten entertainment, but I am surprisingly entertained every time I watch this movie. It's ridiculous. It's fun. It's silly. It's good. Logically, I made fun of old for logic before. Screw that. At least this movie was entertaining. So that was number 10 on my list. Number 9, another horror movie. And I picked the best one out of the 3, but The Fear Street Part 2, 1978. Super entertaining for a slasher flick. It's by far the best one of the trilogy. I would probably go 2, 3, and 1. 1 has kind of like a PG-13 vibe to it that's very like generic and traditional. Yeah. And then you get to the end and you're like, wait a minute, this isn't what I was expecting. And then 2 goes in hard with the rest of that. So I got Malignant, Fear Street. My list is not in order, by the way. I just put a list of like all the movies that I really enjoyed and then tried to rank them. So I'm trying to go through. I hope I don't skip anything. Number 8, I just watched this like 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. Actually, I don't even know if should be on this list, but I think it's up for awards. So Don't Look Up, Adam McKay's film that just came out.
Really?
Yeah. It's super preachy, but it resonated with me so hard. Some of the performances are a little over the top, but I really enjoyed it. It did not feel to me like 2 hours and 30 minutes because it is 2
Which
hours
film
and
is
30
this?
minutes.
Wow.
Don't Look Up.
Oh, okay. Oh, gotcha.
It's on Netflix.
It's a really long film, but I really enjoyed it. See what else.
I thought you were telling us to not look up this movie. That's why I was a little kid. Okay.
No,
I'm
Don't
on
Look
the same
Up.
page.
I really enjoy the themes of it. Number 7, and you're gonna be like, well, Matt, you put that on your list, and I'm like, yeah, because it literally delivered on like 3 years of hype to its audience. Is Spider-Man. Everyone likes it. I have not met one person who doesn't like this film. So it delivered.
I've met one.
Who was it? What's her name?
Well, I don't know if you remember a certain employee. I'll mention it to you later.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm just making.
But anyway, so the guy was like, "Yeah, this movie was dumb. I hate this movie. I'm done with the MCU. It's all stupid. I'm going home." I was like, "Really, man? I mean, I got some nitpicky stuff."
Did you ask him if he was that one guy who didn't like Paddington too?
Oh.
He's happy.
No, I did not. The thought did not enter my mind.
Those people.
Anyway, sorry, Matt. You can continue.
So number 7 was Spider-Man. My number 6 on here is Encanto. I really enjoy that. It's really weird that it's one of those films where it was. I don't want to say it was hard to get through, but there's so much going on that I think it's a film you enjoy it more the second time you watch it because you understand what's going on as opposed to like trying to figure out what's going on. The songs are great, and it was a good film. I really enjoyed that. Number 5, no one has mentioned this, but probably one of the best performances of the year for me is Tick Tick Boom. Best musical of this year. Screw Into the Heights. Sorry, Clint. No one has mentioned West Side Story, which apparently has won multiple Golden Awards this year so far, which I also haven't seen. So I can't put that on my list, but I don't think I would.
Isn't that a cheat code though too? I mean, it's a remake classic.
West Side Story.
Hang on. I want to dive into West Side Story. I have to grab my computer charger.
Okay. Oh man, it's like we paused and came back. What? I forgot where I was.
You were at number 6, I think.
6, yeah. Tick Tick Boom, Encanto, and then number 5 was Tick Tick Boom. Andrew Garfield was amazing in this. He's had a good year. Yeah, he's in Spider-Man. He's in this. He was in The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which was not on anyone's list.
We all saw, definitely.
Jessica Chastain's got nominated for an award for that, which I mean, I guess it's okay. She definitely goes like all in, but it's a little over the top for me. But I guess the character is, but that's not on my list. Tick Tick Boom was on my list, and my phone just closed. Give me 1 second. Number 4 on my list was everybody's favorite film except for mine, which was number 4, was Dune. It definitely delivered for me. I can't wait to see the sequel, and hopefully it is not, as I made the joke before, Dune kills, and it actually stays the same. Number 3.
Matt, what would you do if we get to 2023 and they just play David Lynch's Dune in theaters?
I would cry.
Riot.
Number 3 on my list was The Green Knight. I love The Green Knight. When we watched it, I watched it with Alex, and it was a very long day. It was midnight. It was a long film. I was just completely mesmerized by the entire film. It's beautiful. I think it's really well paced. It looks great. The performances are great. The music's great. It's all great. So Green Knight, number 3. Number 2, Power of the Dog, actually. I talk about a film that like completely caught me off guard by its performances and story. I know I have been critical of the ending just because I thought the ending could have been better. But up to then, I think it's really good. Benedict Cumberbatch is amazing in this film. Super good. Definitely number 2. Now I've got 1A and 1B. I'm gonna say 1B first, and this is gonna be weird. And you're gonna be like, really, Matt? That's one of your number one films of the year? And yeah, another film, thanks Netflix, that was super surprising. And the best animated film of this year is Mitchell's versus the Machines. Such a great story, such great theming, gosh, the comedy, the humor, the pacing. It had no right being as good as it was, in my opinion. The animation, the CD style with the texturing on it, it just looks good. And I think it handles itself really well in an original way. And I think it's going to hold up for years. And then 1B, and Alex has mentioned this title before. And the only reason it's on here is because the amount of crap and jokes we made for it over the past 2 years is Zack Snyder's The Justice League.
Wow.
Really?
I have watched this movie twice, which is, 8 hours. So actually, I think I've watched it 3 times now that I think about it. It's infinitely better than the original cut. Infinitely better. And I know Alex was like, well, it's kind of like cheating if you put in 4 hours worth of stuff, but if it works, man. And in my opinion, it works, except for the extra stuff at the very end. Just think I cut that out. But up until then, infinitely better movie. And surprisingly, and I felt like it deserved my respect to put it at the top of the list just because the amount of grief that we gave it for the past 2 years and the fact that it actually wasn't horrible. So yeah, the Justice League. And I felt a little dirty saying it, but at the same time, I've enjoyed watching it so much more than I have the original one. And I will not take that back.
You had the most surprising list.
I agree.
Hey. So I try to go like some of these films, like you mentioned, like you had Minari and like The Father and all those. I'm like, some of them are like super like heavy. And I'm just like, I had The Power Dog on here, which was heavy, but I had to like, I don't know. Got to put some good stuff on there. It's been a rough year, man.
It's been a rough year.
Matt's like, 1C is actually Pieces of a Woman because I totally.
Yes.
I was number 12.
So really quickly, I'm just going to go through. If you guys can interrupt me. Most anticipated. So most anticipated all around for 2022. For me would be like the Batman, the Northman, Doctor Strange 2, Thor: Love and Thunder, Lightyear, Mission Impossible 7, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Babylon, which is a movie with what's his name, Damien Chazelle, who did La La Land. I really liked his first 2 movies. The Obi-Wan series, Moon Knight, the Lord of the Rings series. Hopefully that starts The Boys season 3 is supposed to come out like in June. And The Sandman. I'm a sucker for Neil Gaiman. Also, just real quickly, these are my top like shows of the year. No in particular order. Only Murders in the Building was really good. If you guys haven't seen this, it's like a half hour, 10 episodes on Hulu with Steve Martin and Martin Short. It is really kind of cute and funny. The White Lotus was a good show, really kind of weird. And that's one of those shows that you just kind of have to be in the mood for to watch. But I think it's only like 6 or 7 episodes, maybe 8. Anyway, Ted Lasso season 2 was really good. I did really like it. I do agree with you, Alex, that it was kind of a step down from season 1 because I think season 1 is so positive and this kind of ends on kind of a weird note. But I did like season 2 of Ted Lasso. Squid Game, obviously everybody loves Squid Game. Mare of Easttown was a really good show. If you guys have HBO Plus or HBO Max, please watch it. It is like 8 episodes and it is done really well. Loki, Hawkeye. I think Hawkeye was probably the best MCU show this year, strictly for the fact that this didn't have like world like saving, like world changing, like everything's like in dire need of being saved or whatever. This is literally just him trying to get home for Christmas. And I thought that it was a really good kind of street level MCU show that they need to start bringing back. And of course, introduction of Kingpin. So yay. Invincible.
Oh yeah.
That was one of those shows that like we talked about it, and it was like we watched like the first couple episodes, and or like the first episode, and I was like, this is not for me. And like Matt said, like you just gotta wait.
This is the greatest show of all time, people. It's gonna be amazing.
When's that season 2 coming out, by the way? Shouldn't that be out soon?
It's been less than a year.
They haven't even started yet, to be honest
What?
with you.
Didn't they announce they were gonna do like 7 more seasons?
Something like that.
I gotta look this up.
Yeah, I look it up. I swear. But yeah, it was one of those. It was one of those shows, one of those seasons that you just like you had to plug along, and it gets better each episode. It just gets better and better until that final episode, and it is pretty good. And WandaVision, I think I put a step above Loki just because I think it just goes into like the weirdness of it. But yeah, those are my top shows of the year.
Yeah, I don't have any shows like I watched. Gosh, there were a lot that I forgot. Like I didn't watch a ton. Invincible was good. Watched Loki. Watched Wanda. Watched Hawkeye. Finished Hawkeye actually today. Good show. I think the best thing about Hawkeye, and I think they're learning more and more about this, is that you don't. It's like quality over quantity. Like it's the show with the least amount of episodes, but you don't have so much fluff and everything. Like you don't have to have a gimmick in one just to carry it to the next one. So yeah, I mean, I didn't really watch any shows. There was a few games I played, but I can't remember them all. I'd have to go through a list until next time. My most anticipated, you hit a lot of the ones I was thinking of. Batman, it's probably my number one. If I'm just like, knee jerking it. I know it's gonna be bad, and I've mentioned this before. But Moonfall, I'm looking forward to Moonfall because I'm a sucker for like space movies. I'm just like,
right.
I know it's gonna be bad. I know it's gonna be bad.
I can't wait for Olympus Has Fallen. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. I hope that the Sonic movie, like I know the first one was just, I thought it was okay, and they kind of just left it real open. So I hope that they, have somewhere to kind of go with this, but it's going to be really family oriented, similar to the first one. So, it's probably going to just be fine. What else is there? I'm looking forward to The Boys. I can't wait for that. I'm super stoked for that. The only thing that I'm irritated about by that is probably going to follow the same formula of giving us the first 3 and then being week to week. And I'm just like, but it comes with the territory. So I think I mentioned to you guys that I've been watching Demon Slayer, the most recent arc, and it's still just as good. Clint, you'll love this. I would just recommend, because I kind of hate myself for doing this, because I've never had to watch Demon Slayer episodically. Like I didn't have to watch it week by week by week by week. It was all available at once for me. And I started watching, I think there's 6 episodes in the most recent arc, and I'm just like, I'm at the most interesting episode, and now I have to wait till Sunday to get the next one. And I'm like, crap. Now I have to wait. So now I might just take a hiatus for a few months until they're all out again, and then just binge them. That's still the most anticipated. I say this like almost sarcastically, the Dragon Ball movie, which ridiculously named is Dragon Ball Superheroes. And I'm not alone in this. I think it looks not good at all. It's a huge step down from Broly, which I think was my number one from 2019. Technically 2018, because it came out there in Japan that year. But I'm going to be watching this. Like I can't wait to watch this, so then I can judge the crap out of it. It relies so much on CGI. If anybody's seen the trailer, they know what I'm talking about, and it looks not good. Like it looks very cheesy, very 90s, and I'm like, but I'm still gonna look forward to it. So hopefully it turn to 180 on me. Probably not, but I think you nailed all the other ones that I was thinking of. Like I said, Batman being number one.
Cool.
Alex, Roland Emmerich is the Call of Duty of Hollywood.
It's just doing the same thing over and over and over again.
And I'd like to apologize. I said Olympus Has Fallen. It was White House Down.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
Wait, they're not
wrong
the same
White House.
movie?
Yes.
I know. I think it's because I haven't seen any of those because I wasn't interested. So maybe I'll be going into this thinking it's unique and then go back and watch those and be like, oh wow, this is just, it's like F9, just put it in space.
No, you're gonna have Moonfall on your best of the year.
Alex, you've got there's legitimately like a 50 to 75% chance that it's gonna be better than Uncharted. So
yeah,
I mean you got that.
I'm right there with you. I think so. Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to Uncharted. Sarcastically, not sarcastically. I don't know. I'm gonna be first to watch it, so that I can just be like, guys, I hate this movie. Everything about it's stupid. I'm gonna just go play the remake.
I want to fly over and watch you watch it, and that'll be so much more entertaining than watching Uncharted.
No, see, even when I hate something, no, I'm not very vivid in my reviews for stuff. Like when I really enjoy something, I'm really silent. Like I'm just glued to the TV. But like when I hate something, I'm doing like this thing, like I'm checking my phone. I'm like, so if I do that, then you'll know. But if I'm like really like this the whole time, you're gonna be like, oh crap, he actually likes it. Man, this is lame. I'll see you later, Alex.
You know what though? What's funny is like I've been doing that with Book of Boba Fett.
I haven't even started that yet.
Don't worry about it.
Have you watched? Have we all watched that? Alex hasn't. Have you watched Boba Fett yet, Ryan?
I have watched the first 2 episodes. I've heard the third one is not good. The first one was fine. I thought the second one was a big step up, and apparently it's a step down. So it's just going to be a roller coaster, I guess.
I feel like I've watched those episodes, and I look back and I'm like, I don't really feel like a lot's happened. Like, I don't feel like much was written. They're just like, all right, here's Boba Fett, and he's just gonna hang out here.
Yeah, you can almost watch Robert Rodriguez direct these episodes in real time.
Yeah, I love Star Wars, but it's just like this show was so unnecessary.
Yeah,
and it feels that way. It literally feels that way. Like this show is so unnecessary because it's going with these flashbacks, and we're like, hey, you want to see how he gets out of the Sarg pit? No, not really. I mean, we kind of get it. And then,
I'm assuming he crawled out.
Yeah, I'm assuming that he like lit him up or whatever he does because they show in like the first episode, and you're like, yeah, that's what I kind of figured. I mean, he has a bomb strapped to his back. Why didn't he hit him with that? But like, and then it goes to like the present, and it's like, I want to take over Jabba's palace. Cool, it's empty. I mean, that's all right. And then I want everybody to tribute me because I'm the new crime boss. That's not how this works,
and
bro. Like,
he's frozen.
Yeah, bro. Disney
sorry,
cut him off.
Yeah, you froze just for a second there.
Disney coming off.
They're like, none of this slander.
But it's like he wants to be the crime boss again.
Really?
I don't know if it's us that's frozen.
It is. He's the host, so he's recording regardless.
Yeah. Your connection is unstable. You're unstable.
I'm just hoping something exciting happens. That's all I want in this show. Just something exciting, and it still hasn't happened yet at all.
I love the music so far. I'll say that.
Oh yeah.
It's, I wasn't really a fan of the Mandalorian scores, and this was like a nice step up of doing Star Wars in such a different way. And now Visions has like attuned my ears for what Star Wars can be.
Right.
So I've enjoyed the music for both.
And I don't know if this is just me, or maybe I'm getting accustomed to these series, or maybe they're just not hiding it as well anymore. But now every time I watch the show, or at least this version of the show, I just see the soundstage. Like before, like it blended in. Like I felt like they were out in a desert. Now every time I feel like I can see the line from the LED screens at the bottom, and I'm just like, oh yeah, they're just in this front of this big LED screen that's moving around, and it just takes me out of it.
Yeah. Please get better.
Please get better.
Yeah.
Dum dum.
Yeah. All right. I forgot what's coming out next week, so I'm not really sure. So you guys are going to get a surprise next week with what we're going to watch.
Nothing comes out. Scream came out this week. And I don't know what comes out next week.
It's supposed to be Morbius.
Wasn't. I think it was supposed to be 2 weeks, but yeah, you're still right.
Oh, yeah, that's right. 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Never
Yeah.
gonna come out.
No,
I don't think this movie
doesn't.
exists.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I think it's just the trailer. They made a trailer and was like, cool. We can just tease people with this.
Greatest conspiracies of all time.
The King's Daughter is the only that and some movie called Redeeming Love are the only wide releases next week.
I think there's another one, that Dennis Quaid movie, The Tiger Rising. That's another one, but I doubt we'll all watch that.
Yeah, that's limited apparently.
Oh,
We'll figure it out.
yeah.
Ugh.
So mystery round next week.
Yeah.
But Alex, you got Moonfall in 2 weeks, man. You can start clicking off the dates on your calendar. I guess maybe 3 weeks or 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
It comes out. It comes out somewhere, sometime.
The 4th with Jackass.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
So dumb. All right. Well, you guys got anything else? No?
Nope.
All right. Well, then this meeting is adjourned. We'll see you guys next week.